Hey y'all, this is gonna be one of those less edited videos, just me kind of talking a lot. And as the title suggests, I'd like to talk about my gripes with One Piece and my praises with it. I'd like to get the positives out of the way. Don't mind the blinding light in the background. I apologize. It's like 9 in the morning. Anyways, so this flashback, I feel, has been one of the best pieces of writing Oda has done in a while. I feel like Oda is really back with his writing. I feel like I'm in the camp of Wano was kind of just mid to me. I'm not super positive about it, and I'm not super negative about it. I think Wano was just okay. I feel like Oda was replaced with some other writer, and he had a ghost writer, and then he came back in Egghead, and Egghead was amazing, and Elbaf is going pretty good. But I'd like to get, again, my positives out of the way because I do think Elbaf is doing really good. I am really enjoying the character dynamics. Of course, I like the character designs. I think Nami and Robin's outfits are terrible. I don't know why Oda does this every single time, but nonetheless, I think Luffy has a banger outfit. I love Sanji's and Zoro's. I like Jinbei's and Frankie's. The mural is really cool. That's again the most I've been speculative and wanted to theorize about One Piece in like a long time. I think Rocks as a character is supremely just interesting and fun. I like that, again, the government propaganda with how they're painting him as this big bad evil guy, right? But he's genuinely, I mean, he's not the best person. He did beat up Loki when he was a kid, so kind of evil, but he cares about his family. He enjoys being with his crew. It doesn't seem like he's particularly going after innocent people. I know the narrator was like, oh yeah, there was 16 or 24 raids, and one kingdom fell to ruin, and a whole bunch of other stuff that they have done, right? Sunk a whole bunch of ships. But honestly, it kind of seems like it's targeted towards the world government and the Marines more than anything. So I don't know, but he doesn't seem like the worst pirate we've seen. He doesn't seem like this ruthless, vile person, and he has a lot of character. He's definitely like a mix between Luffy and Blackbeard. He has this like charm about him, right? He feels like what Odin was supposed to be. I feel like he feels like an actual, I don't want to say character, because Odin's a character. I like Odin, but I don't love Odin. I love Rocks. I think Rocks is supremely interesting. Like I said, I think he's very, very interesting. He's very fun to see on screen, to the point where I don't even want to go and see the Straw Hats for another like 10 chapters, honestly, just because I want to see more Rocks and more of the Rocks crew. The Rocks crew is way more interesting than honestly any other crew during the time. More interesting than Roger's crew, and that's what's funny, that the person we should be the most interested in is sort of like not that interesting during this particular section of the story, which is intentional. But it's funny because even the narrator, which is Oda, is saying, even though Roger, King of the Pirates, sailed the seas during this time, a lot of people could say this was the era of Rocks for these past 2 years. And honestly, I can see it, and I'm all here for it, right? The Rocks agenda is going strong, and unfortunately, that means the Blackbeard agenda is going strong. I don't have anything against Blackbeard, but he's not top 1 yet, guys. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So it's getting me back into being really excited reading the story week to week. It's getting me really excited just experiencing One Piece and talking about it with other people, right? And I think he's just so back with it. I think the character designs for most people are really cool. I like, of course, seeing young Big Mom, young Whitebeard, young Kaido, Shiki, Kyo, Don Marlin, Wang Ji, obviously Rocks himself. I mean, you could tell that that's Blackbeard's dad. That is his dad, right? Not Buggy's dad, guys. Anyways, yeah, that's Blackbeard's dad, and I'm just really enjoying all of it. I think the character dynamics between the Rocks pirates are really good. I like just the simple moments of Shiki trying to blow up Kaido and Silverax, and Whitebeard talking to Kaido about having a devil fruit, and then seeing Whitebeard use his devil fruit to shake up the island. I think just small things like that are just really cool. Gloriosa talking to Big Mom, not even a thing I thought was ever gonna happen, not a character interaction I ever thought was gonna happen. Seeing more about Gloriosa, seeing more about Shaggy, right? and seeing the Roger Pirates unfortunately be infatuated with Shaggy, I think I'm a bit. It's not funny. The gimmick isn't funny. Seeing everybody just pass out at the mere sight of Shaggy, or and everything, but like, it's whatever. It's not a bad gimmick. I don't think it's terrible. I mean, it's like she was the Boa before Boa, so it's fine. But I'm enjoying it a lot. I think Elbaf is showing us a lot of things that I'm really, really passionate about, like digging the mural, the different ages, the different worlds, right? The first world, second world, and now we're on to the third world of prophecy, right? Getting to know more about what the giants think about Nika, right? Seeing how we embody different things in different times. There's just a lot to speculate about. We're seeing a lot of more characters do a lot more things. A lot of the legacy characters, like Garland, right? Like seeing Gunko. It's like seeing Rox enter the Flower Capital, right? All these things. Him killing an admiral before he even had a crew, right? So it's really interesting, and I'm very, very, very much enjoying everything that's going on right now. It really feels like One Piece is back, and I feel like I was sorely missing that during Wano. Egghead was amazing. Again, it made me want to read week to week. I felt like at the beginning of Elbaf, I was kind of on it. I feel like it was slow. I didn't really enjoy it all too much, and I just felt like, man, can we just... I mean, we're in Elbaf. Come on, let's do something interesting, But I think the whole, like, all the devil fruits and the abilities of the God's Knights is cool. Shamrock is really cool. I wonder why his name is Shamrock. I don't know if anybody has, other than just being like SHA, like Shanks, like, Shamrock, Shanks. But it's kind of funny, kind of silly. But I like that they're bringing up things that were talked about in Alabasta, right? Like the devil fruit sword, right? The Cerberus, his sword, it quite literally turned into Cerberus, which was super cool, right? Seeing Gunko with the arrow fruit, that might be something related to Emu, because we know Emu has an arrow related ability and possesses Gunko, which was really cool to see. Like, Emu's eyes, Gunko is basically Emu's eyes. So that's a cool concept I like playing with. I like that the God's Knights are finally mobilized and we're finally seeing them do something. I'm just really honestly enjoying this flashback. It's one thing after another. Loki is a very enjoyable character, very misunderstood, and I really want to see him and Hajun and Makeup. I want to see them make up. I'm really enjoying Rox and Rox and Harold's relationship. I think, again, character writing is Oda's strong suit. I think world building is a strong suit, but I really think character writing is what sucked me into the story in the first place. One of my biggest complaints with post time skip is that the Straw Hats don't really feel like individual characters as much anymore. They kind of just feel like a big conglomerate that sometimes they individually get a couple moments, right? But I feel like Oda has really been pushing, I guess, newer characters to have more character dynamics, so I think it sort of supplements it. Even though I'd like to see more character stuff for the Straw Hats, I'm really enjoying these other characters like Rox, who I really need to be a strong character, being a strong character, seeing Harold be a strong character, seeing their ideals conflict with one another, seeing that the Davy clan, I mean, we know that the D is not Davy anymore. That was a theory, but the Davy clan, learning that Rox is a part of the Davies, right? Teach and a whole bunch of people, probably in God Valley. So it's really cool. I'm really glad we're seeing God Valley stuff, and I hope we get more of it later in like the next chapter. I hope Oda doesn't just cut back to the Straw Hats, because again, I want to see more Rock Pirates. The Rock Pirates are like is the most interesting crew in the story, honestly. Genuinely just really fun to watch, and I think Oda, he's back, right? I think he was back with the Kuma stuff. He really gave me faith with the Kuma flashback, making Kuma and Bonnie two of my favorite characters. Two characters I just thought were, I mean, everybody thought was kind of just forgettable, but made them really shine, and I really appreciate Oda for that. I think now I kind of want to get into my gripes. I've talked a lot about what I like about it, and I'll probably still bring up some things that I like. My main thing, I feel like it's also sort of, as excited as I am, it's also sort of hard to get excited because we've waited so long. And I know that sounds weird, but we've waited so long. And I feel like we've been blue balled so long about stuff about God Valley that I'm like, finally, Oda. It's Silhouette Piece. That's what I don't like, Silhouette Piece, right? We've had to go with that man from that place or a certain pirate, right? And I know that some things spoil other things if you reveal them, but I feel like Oda should have handled a lot of things better. I know he's not always going to have the answers or the character designs for the characters planned out, because again, the week-to-week schedule is hell for him. I know it's hell for everybody, right? In Japan, the work culture is bad, the manga industry is abusive, it's terrible, right? But I also feel like, as a writer and somebody who's been writing for 20 years, I'm talking about Oda, not myself, I feel like he needs to sort of step it up a bit, or just not be afraid to reveal some things. Because I feel like when you are told that something is gonna happen and it doesn't happen for the next 5 years, when we see Usopp has observation, but he hasn't done anything since 2014, right? It's sort of frustrating. And compared to other people, I am a newer viewer of One Piece. I read it when I was in elementary school, right? And so I've been with it for a while, but obviously I haven't been with it since people were reading like Marineford as it came out, right? So I am a newer viewer, I guess you could say, but I've been following it for a while, and it's sort of annoying, right? I guess part of the charm of One Piece is waiting, is the mystery, is the world building, is the characters, right? And I'm fine with waiting for a while, but when you've waited for so long for certain things and you get more questions rather than answers, it does start to be sort of annoying, right? Like finally knowing what the God's Knights look like, them finally mobilizing, right? Mihawk still hasn't done anything, right? I feel like, you know, you could kind of go on things like what the D is and what what's it called? The D is and what the One Piece is. I can wait for a while for that, right? Especially if the D is going to reveal something about the One Piece. But at the same time, in Vegapunk's message, we were blue-balled basically. We were baited into thinking, man, we're gonna learn what the D is. He's gonna mention the D, and then it cut out. The camera or the video cut out. So that was annoying. It's like, why even tease this in the first place? It's not fun anymore for me. Sometimes I'm just like, dude, I want to see what the thing is. I'm okay with waiting. I'm okay with having patience. There are a lot of reveals that we've gotten that I was very excited for, excited waiting for. Like Shisui, right? Learning where Shisui, we knew who had Shisui, but learning more about Ryuma and the Blade and stuff in Wano. But I feel like a lot of things could be talked about and done a lot more. I feel like Usopp could be doing a lot more. I feel like it should be his arc. It should be him getting a lot of character development. I mean, dude, he lost his muscles. Oda forgot he had muscles. He's so irrelevant sometimes that it's just sort of annoying, right? Same with Frankie barely even talking to Vegapunk, his idol. Or, when's the last time you saw Nami draw a map? Or why didn't Chopper try to find a way to cure the smile victims? You've heard it all before, right? And so I feel like it's sort of hard to be excited about the God's Knights. And really, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of rolled my eyes at them. Not that I don't like them, but I was just like, finally we're getting stuff about the God's Knights. Like, they're finally mobilizing. They're finally doing something. We're finally getting more stuff. And I understand that Elbaf is the perfect vehicle for which to explore these topics, right? I understand. I'm not saying I needed Rocks content before that. I didn't need that much about Rocks before Elbaf, right? I'm not saying we needed that, because I think we didn't need it, but I understand why we had to wait till Elbaf, because he's intrinsically tied to Harold, who is tied to Elbaf, right? Who is tied to Loki. So that makes sense. But I feel like Oda should have sprinkled some stuff, some character designs, some flashbacks, some cuts to the past, or something, instead of having us wait all the way until this arc, having to just go through an entire arcs to find anything out. It's my biggest fear is that he's gonna have so much to throw at us at the same time that it's not gonna feel satisfying. That it's gonna be like, what's the D? What's the more about the Davy clan? More about this and that and this and that, and all these the God's Knights and everything and all these different reveals, that it sort of will fall flat because they're not given the time to really shine by themselves, not given the proper time to explore those concepts, and then have a final climax of that story, of whatever that mystery is, right? And I'm afraid that it's gonna fall flat, and nobody's gonna like it. I understand that if you Oda's not always going to be perfect. He's not always going to be able to make every single thing great for everybody to like it. I'm not saying he needs to appease everybody, but he's going to appease way less people if you wait so long for everything. I'm okay with waiting a while, but when you wait so much, like for all the time, for an extended period of time, it gets to a point where you are sort of like, man, we've waited like a decade, we've waited years for this to be revealed. And so when it is revealed, it feels less exciting. And I feel like I've seen some people react to some things, and instead of jumping out of their seats, they're like, huh, that's cool, next chapter, right? Instead of it being, whoa, we finally got more about this person. And honestly, I would have preferred, personally, if we got bits and pieces about, like, I don't know, Rocks or the Roger Pirates, and we got more of them. We got actually see a little bit more, like sprinkle them in here, so it's less of you being like blue balled. I'm sorry to use that term like a billion times, but like, it's less of that and more of, okay, we're seeing more and more, and it's leading towards something. So then when you finally get to the arc that is going to be like that cruise arc, or that cruise, like for example, this is like the Rocks cruise arc, then you're finally like, man, we're here. All right, let's piece everything together. And again, I'm not saying that Oda hasn't done some of that. I just feel like he should be doing it more. Like, we finally know about Shamrock. We finally know that the person who was cloaked, well, maybe. We sort of believe that the person who was at the Gorosei's place was Shamrock talking to them about Blackbeard or a certain pirate. Right? And so I think it's just, and that was revealed what? After Dressrosa, or sometime in Zoe, that was a thing. And I'm like, dude, why did it take from Dressrosa, which was in like 2014, to 2025 to know anything about, or 2024 to know anything about the God's Knights, to know anything about Shamrock? And so it is sort of annoying, and I'm afraid that Oda's not gonna give everything the gravitas and the time that it needs to really, I guess, land, right? And my fear is that he's gonna waste a lot of time. My fear is that he's wasted a lot of time in post time skip. I'm not saying that post time skip is waste time. I think there are a lot of great arcs in post time skip that do show us a lot. I just feel like that I'm worried that he could have showed us more, and it could have been better, and it could have been a way better journey, and that the destination for a lot of these, it could have been a way better journey to make the destination that much greater, right? And he's not going to be able to do that. I believe in Oda, but it is a worry of mine, and I don't know how anybody else feels about that, right? But the flashback itself is really good. Loki is really good. I think my biggest thing, like anything I can complain about the flashback, is merely, well, I don't really like that we haven't seen Shanks' mom's face. I get Oda's like his whole thing about not really showing the parents' faces, or especially the mom's faces, because it's just like they're not that important to the story. It's whoever is actually there. But I'm like, you drew Belmare. I mean, Belmare was important more than, I guess, Shanks' mom. Belmare didn't immediately get stabbed. So, I don't know. I just feel like maybe he's just afraid he's going to make another Nami clone. But I don't know. He's a very talented artist. Again, that's another thing I want to praise. Oda is a very, very talented artist, right? He can make silly or bad designs sometimes, and the anatomy for some characters are kind of iffy. But when he locks in, he can really lock in, and he can do a lot. Like, I really like the God's Knights designs. I don't like how they're colored in the anime, but like Figureland's design, all of the Gorosei, right? I think the Elbaf outfits and all the giants. I think Ripley, Scopper, Gabon is really interesting and cool. I'm glad that we're getting Scopper. that's really cool. But again, we barely knew anything about Scopper beforehand. He was shown in some flashbacks, kind of just being in the background, maybe saying 1 or 2 lines, but we barely knew anything about them. And I feel like, again, we should have gotten more, because the Rocks Pirates are not nearly as interesting. I mean, not the Rocks Pirates. The Roger Pirates aren't nearly as interesting as the Rocks Pirates, and that's a bad thing, especially considering Roger is where Luffy wants to get, and more so, right? He has his what we thought initial dream was to be king of the pirates, but he wants to be king of the pirates, and then he has another dream, right? But he looks up to Roger, obviously, and I feel like making the main character's inspirations crew, other than Shanks, his main inspirations crew sort of forgettable is not a good thing. I definitely don't think that's a good thing. I think Rocks is really kind of overshadowing Roger, and I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but this is kind of how I am feeling. I feel like my only complaint is that Roger needs more time to shine, and I'm really and again, I'm kind of afraid that Oda isn't giving Roger the time that he needs to be great or show us enough, and then by the time we actually see him do something, we kind of just roll our eyes and I'm like, finally, right? Like, we're finally getting something about Dragon, instead of him just looking east, like, triple dots and sometimes some exclamation marks, like looking east or west or whatever. And so it does get sort of annoying when we are waiting for characters that have been hyped up, like Roger, like Mihawk, like Shanks, like anybody that we've waited so long to see, and then they barely really do anything for most of the story. So I'm just really hoping Oda I hope he doesn't write himself into a corner and it doesn't feel rushed, because I feel like that's going to be, I mean, we've seen JJK ending, we've seen what's it called, Yu Yu Hakusho, how it ended, we've seen Bleach ending, we've seen Tokyo Revengers ending, and how they've had to like put a whole bunch of time into like 5 chapters, a whole bunch of things we could have had so many other chapters dedicated to setting things up into like a few chapters and then ending the story. And so I'm really hoping Oda is given that leeway by Shonen Jump, and he gives himself that leeway to explore more topics, and I'm even going to go on a limb and say it, even if it spoils some things, right? Because I'm worried that it's going to be like, by the time we get to the D, we're going to be like, okay, that's it. Like, why did we have to wait the entire story to know what that meant, right? And so, and a couple like things before I end it off. One, the whole war of God Valley being started by Shaggy, I'm mixed on, because I think it's different. Because people are like, other wars have been fought over women before. Of course, that's fine, right? But God Valley is one of the most important, if not the most important, like sequence of fights in the series, being started by Shaggy, and most of people's inspiration for even wanting to go to God Valley is just because they like Shaggy, because they find her attractive. It's like going to war for Beyonce. Beyonce's really cool. I love Beyonce, but am I gonna go risk my life and die for Beyonce? I don't know, right? I think it's cool that Rox is going there to save his family, but like Roger going there just because he likes Shaggy and he's been trying to like get her on his crew for so long. It's just like it's different. Like, people are like, oh well, you like Robin getting saved by the Trots? Yeah, because Robin was their friend, their family, right? Shaggy is just a lady that a lot of people find attractive, and is that enough for some people to fight? Absolutely. But should that be kind of the inciting incident for most people, especially like Roger being there? No, I don't think so, right? I think it's given this recent chapter, it being like, oh, Figureland wants to marry Shaggy, right? So he's starting the whole hunting games over her so they can win her, which is, obviously, while the Celestial Dragons are terrible, I think is a fine setup. That's why I'm mixed on it, because I think that's a good setup, right? And then obviously Rayleigh cares about Shaggy. Shaggy loves Rayleigh, and Roger also loves Roger also loves Rayleigh. Roger also loves Shaggy, but he also wants his friend's potential, his future fiance to be all right. So I guess that's, it makes sense. And then he's also mad at Rox for not taking care of her. And then I guess most of the Rocks Pirates and most of the people there are going there because they want they like Jackie and they want her back. But the thing is, it makes sense because she is kidnapped. So it's like, let's go save the kidnapped woman so she's not, enslaved by these people. So that makes sense to me. But initially, like a couple chapters ago, I was just like, they're just going there because they find her attractive. That's really it. Like, it kind of just feels shallow to me. And the inciting incident is that they were just found her really attractive and wanted her back on their island, not because they particularly cared about her as a person in any way. But yeah, that's really it. I am enjoying it. As much as I did complain for like the past 15 minutes, I am very much enjoying the story, the characters. I think Harold was handled beautifully. I can't wait to see more about Loki. I love Loki. I love Loki's design. He's literally the coolest design in Elbaf, my opinion, other than Rox. I think it's cool that that Rox is like Loki's idol, right? And that Luffy and Loki are kind of like parallels to each other, and that potentially Loki might join Blackbeard's crew, right? And so, as much as I complain because I love One Piece, and I just want the best for it and the story. So, yeah, I think it's good. It's good. Elbaf is really good. I feel like the starting points of it were kind of slow, and I kind of didn't really care. And I didn't read week to week as much, but this flashback is really, like, it's bringing my joy back. I'm very much appreciating it, and I'm loving it. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with my terrible camera and this light in the background. But if you have anything you want to say about One Piece, please put it in the comments below. Alright, have a good one.